Okay, so we are live from Loops. Let's just wait a couple of minutes for the audience to join us as I'm sharing the link. 1 second. Okay. Okay, we'll start in 1 minute. Okay, so good morning, everyone, and good morning, Dr. Piga and Professor Niinimäki. So welcome to this brand new episode of Loops. And for all those that are new to this initiative, this is a live webinar series organized by Velta with the aim of shedding light on the cutting edge innovation of the Horizon 2020 funded projects in the field of circular economy. So today we are going to talk about circular textiles, and we are going to do that with the contribution of the New Cotton and the REACT projects, who are working to devise circular solutions to design out waste and keep textile materials in use in the loop. So I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. I am Daniela Bruccoli. I'm the communication assistant at Velta. And I'm very happy to be here, and I really thank our guests to be here as well. And before moving into the heart of the conversation, I really would like our guests to introduce themselves. So Dr. Piga, would you like to start?
Okay, I'm Daniela Piga. I'm in research in Centrocot, a company involved in the textile sector. I work a different project of circular economy in the textile sector, but not also. And I'm here to represent the REACT project.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Professor Niinimäki?
Yes, my name is Kirsi Niinimäki. I'm Associate Professor in Design, especially Fashion Research, and from Aalto University, Finland, and from the Design Research Unit. And in Aalto University, I run a research group which is called Fashion Textile Futures. And we are involved in quite many different kind of research projects, and sustainability is really core of our research. And we actually approach sustainability quite holistically from design, manufacturing, consumer side, but also link into this business thinking in sustainable textile fashion field.
Thank you very much. Now, I'll just give the audience a quick overview of how this episode is going to be. So now our guests are going to deliver a presentation about their work in the project. And at the end of it, we're going to discuss any possible questions, doubts, or curiosities that our audience may have. So please, for any questions, feel free to comment them in the event page of Velta and or during the live streaming on YouTube. Okay, so now I'll give the floor to Dr. Piga, who's going to talk about the REACT project. So please, you can hand over.
Okay. Working? Okay. I think now.
Yes, that's perfect.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. And good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank Velta for the opportunity to be at this event and discuss about the React project. Before talking about React, I would like to introduce the company where I work. Centrocot is a company in the north of Italy, close to Milan. We are a company with more than 100 highly qualified employees serving the textile sector and providing specialized services. Our strength is analysis and certification, but we also offer training, technical support, research, and testing, not only in the textile sector. After this brief introduction, let us move on the React project, of which Centrocot is the lead partner. Here is some general information of the project. The React is a project for the recycling of acrylic fabric and is funded through the Horizon 2020 program in the climate action section. For the development of methods to remove hazardous substances and contaminants from secondary raw material. It started in June 2019 and has a duration of 3 years. The consortium consists of 7 partners in 5 different countries, a small, medium enterprise and a research center. And we are active on various socials. So let's make a bite of preamble. The textile sector is a constantly evolving industry and has a global market close to $1,000 billion with an expected growth factor for the next several years of around 4%. With a consequent increase in the use of raw material and the production of waste. This is because the way of recycling in textile sector is strongly influenced by the diversity of material and their final use. Indeed, the textile sector is not just about common clothing, but range from accessories to technical clothing such as protective equipment and so on. As you can see of this comprehensive diagram created by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, about only the 1% of the material in the sector is recycled. This is a very low value. Focusing on the field of technical textile, fabric with particular technical characteristics, most of them have a chemical finishing used to increase the performance of the fabric. These added compound make recycling difficult in some cases. Since if recycling with current technique, this compound remain on the fabric and make the recycled material with a low purity. In addition, some of these substances can also be harmful if released into the environmental through incineration or landfill disposal. And the React project wants to avoid this in a market segment that involves the outdoor fabric sector, in particular the awning, the umbrella, and the furniture. The acrylic fiber is the most widely used fiber in this market segment. Consider that more than 90% of fabric for outdoor use are made of this fiber. This is because it has a very good performance characteristics for this use, which the other fiber do not have, including a combination of a mechanical UV and water resistant. This characteristic allow the fabric to use over long periods without decrease the performance. Consider that around 11,000 tons of acrylic outdoor fabric are produced each year, and it is estimated that around 2.5 million of Owing are installed in Europe. Obviously, this also leads to the production of around 8,000 tons of waste per year, which is not recovered because particular compounds have to be added to ensure the fabric uses for several years. The goal of the REACT project is to remove these undesirable and potentially hazardous substances in the most environmental and economically way possible, in order to obtain a recycled acrylic fiber with a high purity, similar to the virgin material, thus leaving a new market opportunity for the producer and increasing the sustainability by using fewer new resources and reducing the health and environmental risk that can occur from incineration or disposal of these materials in the end of their life. In more detail, we aim to remove more than 90% of the undesirable chemical present in acrylic outdoor fabrics, producing a 100% recycled yarn with high purity. And the objective is to reduce the amount of acrylic incinerated or landfilled by the 30% at the end of the project. In addition, to further increase the sustainability, the wastewater from the finishing removal process will be treated to recover the product used for the removal process and reducing the pollutant load in the wastewater. So this is an overview of how the project is divided. In a preliminary phase, we have created a system for the recollection of the fabric and a system to identify the finishes present on them. We have investigated to obtain an effective removal method that achieves the objective of the project. On Obtain, we will use a common industry process to recycle textile in order to develop a prototype for testing. As the preliminary part is the collection of the fabric, identification of the substances present on them. We identified and targeted 3 different kind of finishing used for a 3 specific field. A finishing on fabric used for the production of awnings and umbrella, a finishing with a waterproof used in the marine field, and a finishing used for the fabric for furniture. Once the finishing we identify, we create a method of separating the fabrics according to the finish present on them and the origin in the production chain. In the left side of this table, the waste arising are present the waste arising of the production process of the fiber and the yarn before the finishing application, from which we produce the regenerate fiber that we mix with the purified fiber. These wastes have no finishing to removal and can be reintroduced into the production recycling without the treatment. On the right side of the table are the waste from the production chain after the application of the finishing and the fabric at the end of life. This particular kind of fabric is problematic because not only the finishes are present, but also the unknown substances on them, because the use for 8 years degrade the finishing and introduce a new kind of hazardous substances to resulting from the use and the maintenance. To overcome this indeterminacy of substances present on fabric, we are developing a sorting protocol based on near-infrared spectroscopy, on which are based the common automatic sorting for the plastic packaging, enhancing it with a chemiometric approach, creating a method based on a very simple analysis and fast analysis that identify not only the kind of finishing on fabric, but also the concentration and eventually the presence of other chemicals, faster and with no destructive method, to separate the acrylic waste and use the best removal process method for any fabric. This method of removal has resulted in high removal rates for the free target finishing, above the 90%, and as can you see from the photo, with a total absence of hydro and oleo repellency of the fabric after the treatment, going from a grade 5 to a grade 0 on a scale of 0 to 8, where 8 is the maximum of oleo repellency. This treatment was tested a few weeks ago on the industrial scale, and we are waiting for the result of the laboratory tests for verify the effectiveness of the scale up. The removal of chemical lead a positive impact of recycled material purity in the owning sector. Indeed, it will be removed at least the 90% of chemical on fabric. The purity of final product will be incremented with the mixing of recycled fiber with regenerative fiber, opening a new market for acrylic, but not only, because we will evaluate the possibility to extend the technology to remove the finishing at other kind of fiber and sector with similar problematic, such as the personal protective equipment. Moreover, environmental and health risk will be lower by reducing the hazardous substances in recycled product and prevent their landfill disposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Piga, for this interesting presentation. So before moving to any questions, I'll give the floor to Professor Niinimäki for introducing the project New Cotton. So please take away.
Just a moment. Okay, I hope that you see my screen now, my presentation.
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So today I'm going to talk about this New Cotton project, which is cutting edge. We are using cutting edge technology to create circular fashion. So this really actually aims to do an industrial demonstration. We actually started last autumn, so we have been working on this topic now 6 months, and the project is going on until the autumn 23. And the aim in the project is to foster innovations that enable bio-based textile value chains to become more resource efficient, circular, and reduce their carbon, greenhouse gas, and water footprint. And that, of course, is in line with the climate, energy, and sustainable development goals. New ecosystems with textile fashion circularity will be demonstrated in an industrial scale. So this is quite interesting. There are a lot of new kind of inventions which are now aimed to actually take from the laboratory scale towards more industrial scale demonstration. And there are 12 pioneering partners working together to break new ground by demonstrating an entirely circular model for commercial garment production. So actually there are total supply chain partners included in this project. So that's actually quite fascinating, and they are around the Europe. One partner is in Turkey. So in that sense, we also can see that this is possible to do a little bit close by, so in European scale. So textile waste is collected and sorted and regenerated into a new textile fiber that looks and feels like cotton. And an Infinity Fiber company calls this new cotton. You will hear more about this technology a little bit later on. And the fibers will be used to create different types of fabrics for clothing that will be designed, manufactured, and sold by global brand Adidas and companies in the H&M group. And the project also aims to act as an inspiration and stepping stone for further, even bigger circular initiatives in the industry going forward. So we are really looking at how actually this kind of ecosystem building happens in the circular economic context. And here are the project partners. I will go through that, what are their roles in this project. So, of course, each partner has a specific role, while we are then trying to construct and define the blueprint for circularity in textiles. And the leading company is the Infinity Fiber company, which will create cellulose-based textile fibers, and they have named it Infinna Fiber out of post-consumer textile waste. And then there are Frankenhuis and Chamk will be working on the pre-processing and research for pre-treatment of textile waste. Manufacturers Innovafil, Textin, and Kipas will use the regenerated fibers to produce yarns, woven fabrics, and denim material. And then there are Revolvaste, Rice, and Aalto University. We will collect and provide data and conduct research and analysis throughout the project. And Fashion for Good is involved for this dissemination, so they will mainly take the lead for communication part. And design and manufacturing of fibers into clothing will be done by companies in the H&M Group and Adidas. And how actually this happens, from rags to new robes, so using Infinity Fibers regeneration technology. So this Infinna fibers are created from 100% of post-consumer textile waste. That actually it's quite interesting and of course quite challenging also task in the project. And Infinna is a circular alternative to conventional fibers reliant on limited natural resources. And they are biodegradable and free of microplastics. And yarns and fabrics can be created 100% from Infinna, or they can of course also blend it with conventional textile fibers like cotton. So depending always what kind of end results, what kind of attributes we want to design into the yarns and fibers. And clothes made with Infinna can be recycled together with other textile waste, so actually they are possible to recycle after the first lifetime is over. And now the technology is ready to be scaled. And Infinna Fiber company is now evaluating technology and also looking for possibilities for licensing the technology and also looking for suitable place for building a bigger factory in Europe. And this technology is ready to change the world. I hope that you can see this small text in here. So first step is the collection and sorting of textile waste. And of course that is also quite important part, because we already see that there are little bit problems of different kind of textile sources and the textile waste content, for example. And Frankenhuis is taking that part. This integration is the second step. So non-fibrous materials like buttons, chippers, and so on are removed, and the textiles are disintegrated to fine shreds, and that happens by Frankenhuis. Third step is this fiber separation. So the cellulose based fibers are separated from fibers like polyester and elastin. And here are some technology and Infinity Fiber company working together in these pre-treatments processes. Fourth step is this carbamation, where the cellulose fibers are activated with urea, and a stable dissolvable cellulose carbamate powder is born, and that is Infinity Fiber company processes. And then there are this fifth step is this dissolving and wet spinning. the cellulose powder is turned into a honey-like liquid and impurities are filtered out. So this is also quite important part that actually we can take out impurities if there are some extra chemicals or other materials that are we don't want to keep in the fiber. So the new fiber filaments are born when the cellulose crystallizes during the wet spinning process, and this is Infinity Fiber Company work. And then the Infinna fiber filament is cut, washed and dried, and the cellulose carbamide stable fibers are ready for the next phase in the textile manufacturing supply chain. And this is also Infinity Fiber Company. And then the yarn, fabric, and garment production happening, the 7th step. So the stable fibers are delivered to yarn spinners, from where they go to fabric makers and garment production and on to retail. So here are the manufacturers as well as H&M and Adidas are involved in this stage. And we, as an Aalto University's academic partner, what we are then doing, we are actually responsible of one work package 6. And the aim here is to strengthen and develop the ecosystem around textile recycling from knowledge, business, and policy perspectives. So new knowledge of circular ecosystem will be co-constructed with partners, and this knowledge will be used while constructing educational training materials for industry and business, but also for consumers. So we try to be really active, produce new knowledge, but also disseminate the new knowledge. So the new knowledge will be used while discussing with policymakers about enabling policy and policy actions to enhance textile circulation. This also actually links to this kind of new business model. So we actually build on this ecosystem understanding, also this kind of value creation, and also try to understand and build new understanding these business models in the circular economic context. And here we are now. We have done a survey and interviews with the partners, what happens currently, how they see their role and responsibilities, what comes into the system, which goes out from the system, and really try to understand this ecosystem, what happens currently, and where are these kind of like knowledge gaps or even new kind of solutions happening, new kind of knowledges are constructed, as well as where are this kind of new value aspect that we can build a new kind of business understanding. And very shortly, where we are now, actually, we had just had a consortium meeting this week. It was really nice to hear everyone's updates. Even if we have been running, the project has been running 6 months, it has been super active already. A lot of things are happening. And people are really happy to collaborate with each other, and there seems to be quite this kind of open sharing between the project partners. So that's really looking nice and promising. So what has been happening since this? So different waste streams have been identified and tested. And I already added here a couple of challenges that we have already identified. So with the waste stream, of course, there's always problems of fiber content. So there are a lot of these kind of issues that actually, if you are thinking that, well, the textile waste that we are handling is 100% cotton, there's always something impurities, very often polyester, for example, but there might be some other kind of chemicals too, which in certain amounts can go through the process, but if they are too much, then actually it's not possible to use them in this fiber recycling processes. And of course, one big problem is this waste sorting in a bigger scale, how to handle that one, how to use robotics, different kind of machines, for example. So in the future, if you are aiming to do this in industrial scale, it's not possible to do this by hand as it currently is. And fiber pretreatments are under development. So actually they are scaling them up. They are building new machines for that. And then the end results has been discussed already, even if this 3 years project, so actually they have to define already quite early the fabric types that the companies want to use in the end products, and they are also actually the companies are constructing this kind of new strategies for what this actually means, this recyclable design. So that links totally new knowledge is about design strategies as well as business strategies. Companies are also actually they have already collected consumer service, consumer insights about their consumers' expectations, what kind of new kind of sustainable materials they would like to see. So that's actually, that work has been going on already. And then the life cycle analysis is going on, and also the how to link this aspect of recycled materials in the eco-design strategies. And then our part is ecosystem construction. So we have been looking for this knowledge flows, gaps, process mapping, and value creation, and that leads to new kind of business thinking in circular economy. And that's actually quite interesting already based on this week's discussion, that actually whose business is this, who should actually handle the textile waste, and how the value is created in the business. And here are contact information if you want to collaborate. So please contact Infinity Fiber Company, and my email address is also over there. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Niinimäki. Thank you both. Okay, so now there's room for a Q&A session. So I really invite the audience to ask as many questions as possible. But first of all, I would like to ask whether there is some kind of curiosity or question that each of you has towards the other project.
Yeah, perhaps I can ask from Daniel about this, the future of textile circulation. So how you see that, where that will be in bigger scale, and when that will be like a business, because of course now there's a lot of these kind of initiatives happening in European level, but when this will be like a business reality.
Oh, is a hard question. So the business, I think, is continue increase, but I see a continue research and development for a new circular product. So I think the business is little changed. The fast fashion is in the next year, I think the fast fashion is lower than now, and increase the reuse, the recycling, and the recycling product. So I think the business is a little change now.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Figa. We have a question from Dean Tashobia. I apologize in advance for the pronunciation of the name. So he's asking if there's any work on environmental, social, and economic assessments of the strategy, of your strategy.
Perhaps I can start. Yes, actually these are included, the life cycle analysis, but there will be also this social technical evaluation. And RISE from Sweden, she will be doing that evaluation in new cotton project. So those kind of figures will come out too.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, also for the REACT, we include the LCA and LCC analysis of the development strategy in the project, compare with the strategy used at this moment.
Thank you. Thank you both. Okay, so now I'd like to ask you a few questions. I'll start by asking questions to a specific project, and then I'll move to questions that are more general, and you can both reply. So, yeah, the first one is for the REACT project. So I'd like to know how do you collect the ownings and all the furnishing that's form the basis of the project?
This was the first point discussed on REACT. An important part of good recycling process is the collection of the material and the good separation method. Regarding the pre-consumer waste, we developed an internal method in the fabric production chain to collect and catalog the waste types. involving also some owning sellers in the recovery, the cutting, the recovery, the cutting and the assembly residues. On the other hand, the post-consumer waste is more problematic. Some sellers already have an end-of-life material recovery system, and this has made it easier for us. We discuss initiative of the production company of the fabric to increment this recovery system of the seller.
Are you also planning to devise like a unified collection system or different collection infrastructure for the recovery of the materials?
In the reactor, we are oriented to the only one infrastructure for the reactor, because owning and outdoor fabric is a very little market. But I think it's better different infrastructure for the recycling of textile in general.
Okay. What about the New Cotton project? Are you planning to devise some rental models or some sort of system to collect the materials and the clothes from consumers?
Yes, that is still under development. So actually there are also work going on in the New Cotton that to identify this already existing waste streams, for example, that what happens with the textile waste currently and what kind of data, for example, there is available, that actually what kind of different kind of textile waste there are already available. And of course, the easiest ones are something which comes the same amount, same content with a bigger amount. So from hotels or restaurants or some other kind of sources. But of course, in the future, we really have to deal with the post-consumer textile waste, which is a little bit more complicated because it's really mixed and different kind of blends and whatever kind of content. So it's not so easy to handle that one. But yes, this kind of like the business models actually are part of this, that actually rental or whatever kind of things, that how actually the garments then comes back and who is actually then collecting them and who is then sorting them. So that's actually big questions in the future that we haven't still solved that one, but that's part of the projects. And actually there's a couple of other projects going on which deals with the same issues. They are really looking this kind of like a waste streams in Nordic countries or waste streams in the European level, and how actually this kind of like a different kind of data gathering and data applications could help in this, that how we can actually control better these waste streams.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, let's say that connected to this, it's also people's relationship with clothing and textile in general, which is particularly complex because people wear and purchase clothes for a variety of reasons. And there's also the rise and the spread of fast fashion. So young consumers prefer making cheaper choices over more expensive ones. So this is where my another question comes to my mind. So we know that besides scientific evidence, further actions are needed to raising awareness among consumers and provide them with the right tools to understand the sustainable vision. So my question is like, which actions or strategies you would take into consideration to reach out to them?
Yeah, perhaps I can add here. So actually we have been doing the studies about this in the context of circular economy, that we shouldn't only focus on the end of life, this textile waste, for example. Of course, that is a big problem and we have to solve that somehow. Same time, beside of that discussion, we have to have the more conscious consumption discussion going on, that actually how we emphasize the consumers to be a little bit more critical towards their own consumption habits and really trying to also extend the use time of the garments, because that's really critical from the sustainability point of view. And of course, I think that there are actually quite a lot of these kind of new initiatives emerging, for example, renting or leasing fashion seems to be quite fashionable and popular even among younger consumers. And lately we have been seeing the rise of the second-hand fashion, for example. Quite many, even quite big brands has been taking or testing that as part of their businesses. So of course that's one way to try to extend the use time of the garments. And also this kind of phenomena that there are a lot of social media campaigns or grassroots activities about mending or repairing or even trying to learn to do your own garments, really also providing the skills for the consumers, which I think that are really good ones. And somehow we should also try to change the discussion so that the new is not the only thing in the fashion, because fashion is a lot of these kind of symbolic things and symbolic values and this kind of more like excitement or experiences or emotions, but actually they don't always have to link to new fashion or buy new stuff. You can find the same kind of experiences by going to flea markets, buying secondhand fashion, for example. So I think that we should make this as a movement, that this kind of more conscious consumption is part of the discussion in the circular economy.
Yeah. That's a very, very good point. It's more like a common and joint effort that we all have to do to be more sensitive towards the topic. Dr. Piga, would you like to say something related to this?
Oh, no, because my colleague it's a very centered the problematic, and discuss very well the characteristic of this the circular economy in the textile sector.
Okay, perfect.
Perhaps I can still add here actually. So even this kind of discussion about the quality of the clothing is actually quite important, because we already know from this, even this circulation point of view, that well, when you have a better quality garment, it stays longer in the use time, but actually is also able to make better quality recycled yarn, and it can be recycled several times if it's better quality. So I think that also this kind of aspect we should include in the research and even the common discussion, that how we actually raise the quality of the garments.
Yeah, that's also one of the things, because I guess now recycled textiles are mostly used in low-grade applications. So I was actually wondering, would it be possible to use the recycled materials to redesign the same high-quality products as before?
Yeah, that actually is the aim, that with this chemical recycling technologies is possible to upcycle. So it's possible to keep the quality of the textiles. That's the idea in here, and you can really do the garment from 100% of recycled materials. So it's still like a good quality, and it's still possible to recycle that couple of times. And of course, it's over when you then have several life cycles. So of course it's possible then at some point add the virgin material, so that you can keep the quality of the yarn or textiles or garment high enough. But that's the idea, that we should aim to emphasize these kind of technologies, that we can really keep the quality high enough, so that we don't through this kind of lower quality, we shortened the lifetime of the garments, because then it doesn't really help the situation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this valuable input. I'll just move to a quick question towards the React project. I was wondering, would the removal of the chemical finishes hamper the performance of the final products, of the final materials?
Sir, can you ask?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, in light of the purpose of the chemical finishings, would their removal be an obstacle to the performance of the final materials that you're going to devise?
Oh, okay. Well, the most important problem is the degradation of these substances, because after 8 years of exposure and the sun or rain, snow, so the degradation is very high. We see a very different concentration and kind of chemical at the end of life fabric, in the end of life fabric. So compared to the fabric, the post production fabric. These chemicals can lead to potential dangerous substances. In addition, 8 years ago, the substances that are not banned, so the reach is not so. For example, the hydrofolio repellency is very good. The good chemical is the fluorocarbon compound. So the fluorocarbon compound, now the molecular with 8 or more of 8 carbon is completely banned to the market. 8 years ago is not banned this kind of chemical. If we don't remove these substances, the product could not enter in the new market segment.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so now a question to the New Cotton Project. So you've said that you are planning to collaborate with Adidas and the H&M Group. So I was wondering, was it easy to find these synergies with these big giants of the fashion industry? Like, could you give us more details about it?
Yeah, I think that we are living quite interesting situation currently, that there has been so much about discussion about this fast fashion and the problems, environmental impacts coming from the fashion industry, textile and fashion industry. So that actually quite many companies and industries are really eager to change their practices, but they don't know how. So in that sense, seems to be that companies are really eager to do collaboration with the research side, so that they find the new solutions. So I think that they are looking, and of course everyone also understand that this will be the future's business. That of course currently all these kind of more sustainable options are still more expensive than the old solutions or virgin cotton even, but I'm quite sure that this situation will change in the future. And when these new technologies are getting more common, so of course they also will be lower prices. So, but I think that actually currently all fashion companies are looking at these alternatives and how they can change their practices. So I think that they are really ready, and what seems to happen also with big inside the bigger companies, that they are really also including this sustainability in a new way in their own strategies, and they see that, for example, this product circulation and the circular design really have to take seriously and take into the strategies of the companies. And of course that will slowly also change the whole strategy of the companies, because they also then, based on this circularity aspect, they also have to change their business models. So I'm quite sure that actually this circular economy will be the possibility to change this kind of current practices towards more sustainable ones.
Yeah. I really think that brands could really contribute to increase the amount of clothing recycling, and like besides green public procurement, and they would also play a good role in raising awareness as well, especially because they just like enjoy such a great popularity among consumers. So it would be a great idea. Okay, so we have one other question from Dean Dashobia. So is asking, looking at the cotton fiber, is it not also important to look at cotton breeding and management technologies in the production phase?
Yeah, well, in in this project, we are not going to use this virgin cotton at all. So we are just using the recycled textile waste. But of course, if you are doing this life cycle analysis, for example, and then you are comparing this recycled cotton waste and regenerated fibers made from that source, or then compared to this virgin cotton. So of course, then it would be worthwhile to do this kind of comparison and also thinking about the cultivation process of cotton if you are doing life cycle analysis.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we don't have any further questions from the audience. I think I asked quite a lot of questions to you. So I really want to thank you both for being here today. It's been a very interesting discussion. And yeah, before wrapping up, I just would like to say that our next episode will be on the 22nd of April. It will be about sustainable and circular composite materials. So yeah, I really thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. So thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.